Call it what you want. A yarn ban, a yarn diet, no spend, low buy, no buy. It's got a lot of different names, but basically, if you're attempting to not spend any money on yarn for a certain amount of time, whether it's a month or 6 months or a year, then I've got a video for you. I have got 5 tips to help you succeed in this yarn diet. I'm going to be totally upfront. I am not currently attempting a low buy or a no buy. I have been for a while really trying to be conscientious, I have been trying to be super mindful lately about the yarn that I really enjoy working with, the colors I love, the fibers I love, the weight I love, and really working on just being mindful to only bring those into my house. So maybe I have been on a little bit of a yarn diet, but for the most part, I'm not attempting to, like work myself down in a stash or anything like that. If you are like me and you're kind of interested in this topic and you also want to be a little bit more mindful, but you're not putting yourself on a yarn ban, then I do have one tip that I think is super helpful. And before I get into those 5 things to help you succeed with your yarn diet, the one thing I would suggest doing is to keep a little bit of a journal. Now, whether you just have a piece of paper and you keep it in your yarn stash, which I am like old school, like to me, that's the easiest way for me to remember stuff. But I am also trying to keep more notes on my phone. But if you're a planner person, you can make a little note in your planner if you remember to go back through the year. I probably wouldn't. That's why I'm opting for the piece of paper. But all you have to do is keep track through the year of the yarn coming in, like the type of yarn it was. If you want, you can be as detailed or whatever as you want. But for me, I think it's helpful to be detailed because I always think I'll remember things, but don't. Let me know if you're that way. But just keep track of the yarn that comes into your stash, and then keep a note for the same month about the yarn that actually gets used in projects. So that way you can see, am I buying a bunch of 4-weight yarn, but I'm only using 2-weight yarn, or vice versa? Things like that. And then that can help you going into the next year. If you can look back at this entire year of 2025 and be like, oh my gosh, I bought all of this that I never used. It's easy to do. Like, some yarns are super attractive and, they just like call to you, but there's like proof right there. Like, oh, whoops, I'm not actually using these, but I did use a whole bunch of this. So I need to put my dollars into this instead of that. But if you currently have the goal, or you have started a low buy, a no buy, whatever you want to call it, I do have 5 tips for you. So the very first thing that I encourage you to do is going to be to take a quick inventory of the yarn that you have so that you know what's in there, and then plan all of your projects for the time frame you're doing this around the yarn in your stash. So that would be not looking or finding a pattern first. I understand how tempting it is scrolling YouTube to see a super cool pattern, and you look at it and you're like, oh, I need to buy this and this. Well, you don't really need to. You can save that project and you can work on a project that coincides with the yarn you have. I think it is easy to fall in that trap. I'm definitely guilty of it too, of not really distinguishing like what's a want and what's a need. The reality is I really don't need any yarn. I have yarn that I could probably work through all year. And if I tailored my projects to what I have, I would be all set. But, it's easy just to have that reaction when you see something super cool and you want to make it, to be like, oh, I need to go buy this yarn. I am going to keep moving. This is going to be a super quick video today. The next thing you can do to help you succeed at your low buy, no buy yarn diet is to let people know that you're doing that. There are a few people in my life, like my daughter's one of them, where if she came to me and was like, can you make this? I would make it. Even though those rules do not apply to 99% of the people on on, on the earth. My daughter is one of those people that, yeah, of course, like if she shows me something, of course I would try my hardest to make that. She is always super gracious, and she's never demanded anything, and she's always been really thankful for what, I have gifted her. But that's something where if she wouldn't know, like if I was really trying not to buy any yarn, and she was like, "Oh, I just found this blanket. Will you make this for me? I love it." That's something where I need to be honest with her and not cave on myself. So, because it's a person I love and is very close to me, and obviously, when it's like your kids or there's significant people in your life, it's easy to want to bend the rules and be like, "You know what? I'm not buying any yarn, but it's for her, so it's okay." Well, that's a slippery slope. Once you start making exceptions, it's easy to then justify other exceptions. So this could be handled easily enough where a couple different ways. I could be like, "I would love to make that for you. Would you want to look at the yarn in my stash and see, if any of these appeal to you, and we can make it out of that, because I am not buying yarn this year." Or if it's something that normally, like, again, because it's my daughter, I would just buy the yarn and make it, But that is something where if that is one of my goals, I can be like, "You know what? I am really taking this no buy year seriously and not bringing other yarn in until I use more of what I have. If you really want this, would you be fine buying the yarn for it?" And knowing my daughter, I know that if she did, that wouldn't be a problem at all. Obviously, something you want to kind of do a little give and take of, and that's actually not a bad idea when anyone asks you to make anything, is to ask for the yarn up front. Just something that there are those people in our lives that we would make anything, anything they asked, and I think that's just realistic to say. I mean, if you've watched some of my other videos, I am pretty darn hesitant about making things for people. But obviously, I have a few close relatives that, yeah, I don't think twice about it. But if I was really being conscientious and making a point and sticking to it, I would have to let them know right up front that, hey, this is important to me, that I don't buy any yarn. The next tip for success, and it kind of goes along with this, because I could definitely speak to my husband, because, we do make financial decisions together, but, he doesn't always understand the desire for more yarn. He's not really into it himself. But the next way to really help yourself succeed is to find an accountability partner. And whether that is a significant other, a family member, a friend, it doesn't have to be someone who also buys yarn, but just someone that you're close to, and that you have a connection with, and you can be honest and share things with them and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to get my budget under control, and this is a weakness for me. Is this something where if I am having a weak moment and feel like breaking my own rule and feel like shopping, can I text you and will you talk me through this?" I think that is totally reasonable. I know, again, my daughter is a grown adult. She's not, when I say my daughter, she's not like a child. She's like grown and has her own place and works and all that. But I know I could go to her easily and be like, "Hey, is it okay if I text you if I'm having a weak moment and I feel myself wanting to cave?" And I know she would be fine with that. And I think having that accountability partner can really help curb those emotional spending moments where, it's like we get caught up in our own head a little bit about that. And I know I can find some pretty crazy ways to justify different things. I'm sure you can too if you really thought about it. We're all probably pretty guilty of that. And just talking through it and like getting it outside of your own head, I think often even kind of curbs that desire to purchase anyway. Because it's like when it's all bottled up inside and you start like just thinking about it, where if you say it out loud or text it, it's like it gets it out into the universe and you're not thinking about it and you've said it. And it's like, okay, I can breathe, I can relax. It's not my all-encompassing thought anymore. So definitely look for someone who is willing to be like an accountability partner. And maybe they're looking for one too about something else. You never know. It could be something where if you do reach out to that friend or that person and be like, I'm struggling with this, they might be like, yeah, I'm glad you say this because I'm really into makeup or shoes or tools or who knows what. And they might want someone that they can also have that with. You might actually be helping them out more than they're helping you. To go along with this, I would encourage you, the fourth tip to kind of help guarantee your success in your no-buy, low-buy yarn ban is going to be to jot down what you find yourself triggered by. And, if you want to keep that in the same note with your yarn in, yarn out type of notes, that would be a great place to do it. But it's just taking a step back. And when you feel yourself having that strong desire, like, oh, I just want new yarn. Oh, I just want to browse this website. Or, oh, I just want to walk into the store and see what's there. Maybe just take a breath, take a few seconds and try to take a step back and really analyze, like, why is it that I'm thinking this right now? I have a feeling, just basing this off of my own life and looking at things like shopping or overeating or like just anything like that. A lot of times that thing is stress. So what is it that is stressing you out and is causing you to want to take your mind off of the one thing, or to disassociate from, or just to like have positive feelings instead of negative ones? Like, what is the thing? Is it a bad day at work? Is it, having to interact with someone in your life that maybe there's a lot of strife with? Are you quitting another habit? Oftentimes, like other addictive habits, you want to replace them with another, and that's serious. Like, that's a valid thing. Did you have contact with someone who is like super competitive and has the best of the best? Like, what is it that just kind of like gets to you and triggers you a little bit? It is so hard. Like, that is something I think we all have to like continually work at with everything. I don't want you to get the idea that somehow I can like miraculously be aware of myself being triggered and stop the behavior. That is not it. It's more so just that process of learning, like when you realize, oh my gosh, I'm feeling a little frantic. I'm feeling like I want to go buy this. I'm feeling like I want to go do this. Why am I feeling this way? Whoa, like, pump the brakes, slow down. What in this moment is causing me to want to feel this way? So it's like, it's not a thing about like somehow miraculously being able to stop yourself from thinking that way. That's not it at all. It's just checking to see what it is so that in the future we can be more aware of it. We can avoid those situations if they are avoidable, or we can go into those situations with better coping skills. Like, obviously that's all a lot of work, but recognizing those triggers is going to be the first step in that. And then the final thing, and I think this is so important because people do this all the time, spending. I have seen so many videos where people are doing this, and I've seen it in other type of issues like dieting, stuff like that. Don't use this no buy time period or a low buy time period. Don't use this then as an excuse to think, okay, I'm going to power through this, and when this is done, I am just going to go nuts. Like, that is not what you want to do. That 100% just defeats the purpose. Like, all you did at that point was just buy it all on the back end. So that doesn't really help you. The point of doing a yarn ban or anything like that is to actually work through those yarns and to learn from them and to learn what you like, and to then learn to know in the future what specifically to bring in and be mindful in the future. This is probably going to be my last budgeting type of video for a while. I know it is just like I'm filming this in January, and it's been I feel like it's on people's minds this time of year. If they've come out of the holiday season, generally finances are tighter. Oftentimes there's a lot of expenses due in like the first quarter of the year. So that's another thing to think about. And the feedback I've gotten recently on a few of the different like money related videos is that there are a lot of people that are attempting a low buy or a no buy year. So really, I just want to tell you that you can do it. And even if it doesn't work out perfectly, if you still learn something from it, you are so far ahead of where you were like last year at this time. So I just want you to feel confident and know that I do think you're totally capable of this. But if you need to look back at these tips and just make sure it kind of helps keep you on the straight and narrow regarding your yarn purchases, I hope I can help. I also have to say a humongous thank you to everyone who stopped into my Saturday morning yarn chat with Sweet Pea Sid. I had a lot of fun on that, and I'm just so grateful for everyone who has stuck with me for so long and been around. And I'm also super grateful for all of the like new faces that were there, and it meant a lot to me. So I want to thank you. I noticed you in the chat. I'm not like super great at responding to every comment. Even though we've been doing it a year now, that is not my strong suit. So I will continue to work on that as well. But if you were there, or even if you watch the replay, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I will have down in the description box a link to that live and all the other lives Sydney and I have done. And I'm also going to put in a link to the playlist of other like money budgeting related videos if this is the first time you are catching one of my yarn budgeting type of videos. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.